Hi, Maggie.
Hi, everybody. This is Maggie. Just hang in there. We're going to wait a little bit and see who can join us. Hi there. We're just waiting a few minutes to see who's going to join.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Perfect. Hi, how you doing?
Oh, hold on a second. I need to take off my headphones. I mean, the audio is still going through my headphones. Hold on. Okay, I think the audio is through my computer now.
Okay. I got a Zoom quit unexpectedly. Let's see what happened.
All right.
It seems to be working now.
Sam, I still can't hear you now. Can you say something?
Okay, yeah, no, I got an error message, but it looks like
I'm not getting you. Hold on. Let me try something else. Okay, now say something.
Okay, I got an error message. Now you can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, but it's working fine now.
Okay, good. Yeah, it was my audio on my side was a little flustered.
Alrighty.
So what office are you in?
The Campbell SV.
All right.
Yeah, but we haven't been in the office for a while, so it's kind of it's it's really different. My office is right here where you're looking by the
Yep.
phone.
Me too.
Yeah, it'll be nice to get back to be able to have the meetings with clients. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do confess I am a lot more productive though when I'm not running around all over the place.
So it's not just me. It's not just me. I appreciate all the time that I have to think and whatnot, but I'm really missing, the contact. I miss that a lot.
Yeah.
So, what have you been doing to keep yourself on track?
Well, I do a lot more follow-up. I do a lot more calls and emails and texts. My problem is I'm hyperactive. I always want to go somewhere. I always want to go look at property or go to a networking event, or like I can't sit still. My mom said when I was a baby in nursery school, 4 people had to hold me down to diaper me. She says, "You've always been that way. You've always been unable to sit still." And she said, "But I never like gave you medication for ADD or anything because you were always productive. You were always working hard at school or working hard at club activities. So I saw no reason to stop you from being that way." So now with COVID, I'm forced to sit still at my desk for a lot longer, a lot more hours per day than I probably would otherwise, which is actually helping my business. I'm working with more clients than I was before. I can handle more transactions. I can handle more issues. So it's kind of teaching me better habits, really.
So how long have you been in business?
Going on 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have a little bit of backlog, right? It's it's been going. Yeah. I've I recently I started the beginning of this year, and then we got the COVID. It put me in a different mode, and I take my car and I'll go to a park and I'll do cold calling.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea.
Nice, secluded, cool park. Go
Mhm.
there, and that helps me, get at least an hour or two of cold calling done.
That's really smart.
Yeah.
Kind of pull yourself away from all the emails and everything that
I
distracts
get
you.
crazy in the office, and just it does help a little bit.
And we are allowed to go to our office if I guess if we have our own desk, and I'm lucky enough to have my own desk. So I also try to get there sometimes too. I tend to be more productive when I'm just in my office, because when I'm at home, I'm distracted with chores and televisions and
Right.
the refrigerator and the mail and the garbage, and just like I'm in a different mode. So I'm even more productive if I can sit at the office for a couple of days a week just by
What
myself.
office are you from?
Santa Cruz.
Okay.
Yeah. So I live in Boulder Creek in the mountains. So it's 30, 40-minute drive, but I do a lot of, client appointments down there too. So buyer showings and that sort of thing. So when I'm in town, I'll sit at my desk for several hours and get a lot done too.
I drove over to Santa Cruz last weekend. Got just went out to the pier,
Mhm.
and then I decided I'm going to go get some breakfast. So I was able to sit inside of a restaurant,
Mhm.
which we can't do here, yet in the Santa Clara County. And I was able to get a haircut and all that stuff,
Oh,
But
good.
it's a lot more open there in Santa Cruz.
We've been going a little bit back and forth. It was open, and then they started shutting down some things because we had bad numbers, the rate of infection or whatever they call it.
Right.
But so it's kind of seems like it's oscillating back and forth between being open, closed, open, closed. But I know outdoor restaurants are pretty much allowed for sure. And I think hairdressers are working now too.
Right. Yeah.
So
Well, now that the president has COVID, that really brings it close to home, doesn't it? Because I
Yeah,
was
it
thinking, is
does.
this stuff really true? Because I don't know anybody that's gotten sick. Tell you the truth, I don't know anyone.
You're
And
lucky. You're really lucky.
I know I am.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't want to get that.
Yeah, it's scary.
Anyway,
That's the hard part about doing business with face to face too, with buyers. You know, you have to be so careful.
I'm anxious to get back to it.
Yeah,
Doorknob.
I do
Yeah.
buyers and sellers, which is nice. So with the buyers, I do showings, but I'm really careful when I open the doors, and I give them a spray of sanitizer before and after the showing. And when I give them wipes they can use to open doorknobs and turn light things on. So if they want to touch stuff, they just use the wipe instead of their hand. And then of
Good.
course I wipe down afterwards. So, but it's still, you know, it's a risk every time you go out of your house. So.
Okay.
Okay, well, I think we can get
Right.
started now. Let me throw up some slides for you guys. Let's
Thank
see
you.
here. And there's a couple different ways it's asking me to do sharing. So I'm going to play around with these different choices here. What happens if I do that? It probably didn't work. Or are you seeing just the slide by itself, or are you seeing the slide with other slides next to it?
I see a slide with other slides next to it.
Okay, so let me undo that. I'm still trying to figure out. There's like 3 different choices when it asks me what I want to show. Let's try that one. That's just the one slide, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. And it moves my controls around a little bit too. Okay, so today we're talking about working with Mets. So I'm Maggie Barr. I'm at Met Keller Williams in Santa Cruz. And I have a team of agents on the Maggie Barr team that work with me. We do buyers and sellers, and we do a lot of business in the Santa Cruz Mountains, as well as in Santa Cruz proper, Capitola, Watsonville, those areas. And I was lucky enough to be coached when I first started at Keller Williams by Laura Gleason Hernandez, and so everything I know came from her pretty much. She was my coach, and I went through Ignite with her, and I'm really fortunate to have learned a lot of good practices and habits from her. Have served me well. So if I sound like her when I'm going through this, that's why. Okay, so we'll start off with talking about who are Mets, what is networking, how can you drive referrals, and you know, good habits that you can create for yourself to ensure that you're building your network out. This is the ground rules for Ignite that are for all the different classes. Be respectful, be on time, respect each other, help each other out, and have fun. I will take questions as they come since there's not that many of you. I don't feel like we're going to get overwhelmed with questions, but we do have about, I don't know, 60 slides to go through. So if you feel me pushing you ahead, that's why I want to make sure we cover all the good material. So today we'll talk about where you are before this training. Basically, you've learned about lead generation activities, and you've had ahas from those activities. And then we'll hopefully learn some new habits today and change up your habits a little bit more, change up your best practices so that you have some new ideas to apply to what you've already got going on. Okay. So far, you've gotten through the introduction, validity and positioning, prospecting, marketing, and your database. And today we're gonna launch off into some more details about what you can do with your database as you build it. How do you leverage your database to build lasting relationships that drive your business forward into the future? They say that if you have 100 people that would recommend you hands down, if someone asked them for the name of a realtor, then you have enough business than you can handle. So that's what I keep reminding myself every time I am feeling sorry for myself and I don't have any deals in escrow, or I don't have any good prospects on a Saturday to show property to. I just tell myself, well, I don't have 100 people that will recommend me. That's my fault. And so I start making calls and I start adding to my database and I start following up with contacts, because that's where your business will come from. So that's what we'll talk about today. All right. So this is just a slide so that you can think about how you can be most productive on our call today. Basically, try to not be distracted, turn your phone off so you don't get calls, close the doors so the dogs and the kids don't bother you, whatever you need to do to settle in so you can really focus on your business and take some good notes, because as we go through this, you're going to have a lot of ideas unique to your circumstances, maybe some clubs that you're in that you didn't even realize were actually networking clubs. So try to take some notes as we go. I want you to get the most out of this experience. Okay, so Mets are people that, Mets are those that you've met today, those you've known all of your life, and people that you collect in your database. And so they call them Mets because they're not already engaged in finding property or selling property. Those are prospects. So they're just differentiating between someone who is a viable lead that's probably going to close in the next 3 to 9 months, and people that aren't interested in real estate yet, but they might be in the future, or they might be able to refer someone to you. So they're not really prospects, not really leads. They just call them Mets because it's just another word for your contacts, people that know you, really, more importantly than people that you know. So who are people that know you that might refer business to you? So if you want to gather up more Mets to put in your database and to stay in contact with over time, here are some things you can do. If you're not already in a networking group, you can join one. You can join a Facebook group, something or join nextdoor.com if you're not already active in nextdoor.com, which is just your neighborhood. You can think about people that you've worked with outside of real estate or inside of real estate, just people that you've worked with on projects, either work projects in the past or club projects, or even vendors, like people who do inspections for you, or people that do or lenders. I get leads from lenders a lot too. So just really anyone that you do business with. And then advocates are people that have been close with you, like on a very close project where they know you well, and they would be most likely to recommend you to someone who said, a realtor. So people that have been like in the trenches with you, you can go back and look at your email, like go back into your email from last year and look at people that you've emailed frequently. Maybe that'd be one way to find those folks. And then core advocates are people that you have a very close personal relationship. I would call them your close friends or close business contacts who trust you implicitly. Those are also great contacts to include in your Mets. So these are basically for people you don't know very well, for people that you know very well, but they're all people who might give you referrals or might need real estate help in the future. Okay, so how many names have you put in your database so far? How about you, Sam? How many people do you have in there? Oh, I gotta unmute you probably.
There's about 165.
Oh, that's great. Okay. And how many have you contacted?
About 60 of them.
Okay, great. Okay, so you want to ask yourself that question. Thanks for sharing that. And think about how you can build a habit to stay in contact with them over time. We're going to go through some campaigns you can add even through command that are reminders, 33 touch, 8x8, etc. later on in this presentation. But really think about how you can beef up that database. So how many contacts should I have in my network? That's the name that they use for your network of Mets in your database. So based on your sales goal, you want to have, let's say you want to have 10 transactions this year. So that's 60 times 6 is 60. So that's a 12-to-2 ratio. So you would need 60 contacts in your Met database that you nurture that are giving you referrals, basically. So if based on what your sales goal is for the year, you need to have 6 times the number of METs in your database. How many METs do you want? There are no limits. A consistent approach ensures a consistent return. So it's not like this is an exercise where you're going to load your database up with METs and then you're done. You're done and you can go work on other marketing. This is a slow building process over time. So it's not about how many you have today or tomorrow, but how many you can add every day. You want to set a goal for yourself to add, I would try to add at least 10 a week at minimum. So that you have, because some of those are going to trickle away, you're going to lose touch with them. Maybe they change their phone number, they change their address, they move away, they tell you they have a realtor already or whatever. So there's some attrition you need to keep adding over time. So it's not true that if you just build the database once, then you're going to magically start getting calls just because they've talked to you one time. It has to be a relationship that you build over time. So this is an example that they have in the training book that you guys have about an employee of Keller Williams who built a database of 4,700 people with just doing an 8x8 and 33 touch campaign. So that's what drives his business, is the number of people that know him and trust him as a realtor. So that's kind of an example of what they want you to do. And it's in the course book on page 13, more about him. So what is networking? So it's people that know you, people that like you, people that respect you, that will remember you. And I don't know about you guys, but in my county, real estate is very competitive. Most of my friends already know 3 or 4 realtors besides me. And when I'm on Facebook and I hear about someone who's interested, they'll put on their website or on Facebook page, like, I'm thinking about buying a house, or I'm thinking about selling a house, and I'll respond immediately and they'll go, oh, that's okay, I'm already working with so-and-so. Even though they're what I would consider a good friend, I'm like, well, why didn't they even call me? And I was on a listing appointment just 3 weeks ago with someone that was she worked at the hotel where I was married 12 years ago. We became good friends. We stayed in touch over Facebook. I went to her house to do a listing presentation. And then she texted me a week later saying that she found another realtor, that she's hiring someone else. I have no idea who this other person is, but it's extremely competitive. Like, it's really hard to get, especially listings in Santa Cruz County. There are literally 1,000 agents in Santa Cruz County, and we probably have a total of 50 listings at one time. So if you think about the ratios, it almost, I think everybody wants to retire, move to Santa Cruz and become a realtor. So the reason I'm telling you this is that, it's not that you know someone, that's not enough to get the business from them. You have to know them and they have to like you and respect you more than they do the other 5 realtors that they come into contact with in their life. Some of them might even be friends or people at church or relatives even. So you want them to know you. Over time, they will learn to like you because you'll stay in contact, you'll offer them information, answer questions for them, and then they'll respect you. And to get the respect, it takes a little bit more than just being nice and staying in touch. You need to prove your value through any kind of education or training that you can offer them in terms of how to stage a house, how to find a lender, how to, articles you can send them or conversations you can have with them. They have to feel like you're an expert in real estate. You're not just an agent, you're an expert. So that's where the respect comes in. For example, I'm doing a webinar series right now, and I promoted on a networking site I created on Facebook called SLV News and Events. And through the webinar series, I'm meeting new people and they're learning about me and they're seeing me as an authority in the community. So think of how you can use your expertise, even if it's not specific to real estate, because the webinar series I'm doing doesn't even have anything to do with real estate. It's on people that have lost their homes in the fire. How can they get help rebuilding?
That's very smart.
So it's a whole series of like, we're going to do like 20 different webinars that are hour long each. And one of them is with the Small Business Administration on how to get a loan. We're going to have one with FEMA on how to get grants. We have one today actually happening as we speak. Wendy on my team is leading it. It's how to clear your lot so that you can rebuild. We're going to have one on how to decide if you want to rebuild or not based on how expensive it is to rebuild. So it's completely, even though, yeah, they're homeowners, it's not about real estate, but I've already got one listing lead I signed a week ago, and they're also buying a property. They've already made an offer just from that webinar series. So you don't have to be an expert on real estate if you're a new agent. You can be an expert on something related to that, that you can help folks out with. And I'm not even the expert really. I mean, I don't know how to build a house. I have no idea how much it costs, but I'm finding resources and starting a webinar series and interviewing people in these webinars. So that's the respect, right? They want to come to you when they have questions about real estate. That's where the respect really makes a difference. So if you're thinking about mind share, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. Who is going to think about you when someone says, hey, do you know a realtor? That's what you're going for. And it can be as simple as going to your friends' Facebook pages and liking them. You know, like their post. If they put a post that says, look at the new puppy we got today, like the post and say, oh, what a cute puppy, right? Because that increases your mind share in their mind. They're thinking about you for 2 seconds that wouldn't have thought about you if you hadn't have done that. So, you know, if you're on social media, and same thing with Instagram, like them on Instagram, make comments on their page. You know, when you're tired in the evening, like I am, my brain stops working around 6 o'clock. That's a business activity that I can do while I'm watching TV, is just like a bunch of posts and make comments on a bunch of posts, because those are the people that come back to me later and go, oh, Maggie, I've got a real estate question, right? So, you know, that's mind share. It doesn't really matter if they're thinking about you because you like their puppy picture, or because they heard of someone who needs a house. The fact that they're thinking of you, Maggie the realtor, at all that day, that increases the mind share. This is something that I learned a lot about in my past life in corporate marketing. I have a couple marketing degrees, an undergraduate and a graduate one. And mind share is really what companies like Coca-Cola do when they do an advertisement for Coke online. They're not trying to sell Coke. They're not trying to get you to go to the store and buy a Coke, but they want you to see the brand Coca-Cola X number of times every week, so that when you do go get a drink subconsciously, your mind sees the red can and just grabs it without even thinking, because it's a familiar brand. So that's what you're doing. You're being the Coca-Cola in their brain. You are the familiar brand that they think about when they think about real estate. That's what mind share is. Okay, so you must stay in touch, obviously, if you're going to have mind share. People may remember you in other ways than an agent. They may remember you when they need help with real estate, but not remember you when someone else needs help. And another thing you can do to increase mind share is ask them for advice. Like when I need something, like I need the name of someone who can do hauling, I send messages to people in my sphere, or I'll post on a local Facebook group saying, does anyone know a hauler? I need someone tomorrow. I know it's short notice. And you have 5 people that respond and go, hey, Maggie, here's a hauler. You know, and yeah, it's great to get a hauler's name, but that's 5 people that responded. There's 5 people that thought about me, Maggie Barr, the realtor, that hadn't thought about me probably in a while, maybe even years. So again, it's being out in the community, even if it's on social media, and having your name show up in their feed once a week or so. That's a great way to do it. And so any other kind of clubs that you do or organizations you're in, be active in those organizations. Let your name come up a lot. That's what helps with your networking. And networking is good because you want that flow of leads coming in independent of the phone calls you might be making that week. If you just rely on your list of prospects, not Mets, but actual leads, people that are buying or selling now, and that's the only people you contact, what's going to happen is you're going to get a prospect into escrow. You're going to be overwhelmed with escrow issues, paperwork, concerns, questions, showings, inspections. You're going to stop your lead generation because you're kind of busy. And then when it closes, you're gonna like, okay, where's my next lead coming from? Now I got to go find some new buyers because all the ones I would have been working with, they've already found agents now, or new sellers, they're gone. So that's what the roller coaster is. When you become a realtor for the first time, a lot of you might have experienced this where you have a deal, you're dead for 2 months. You have a deal, you're dead for 2 months. And so we use networking or this ongoing lead generation every day for an hour or so as a way to get rid of the roller coaster. So you're constantly getting new business without having to spend time constantly rebuilding a set of people that you can work with every time you close. You want to keep the pipeline nice and full. So prospecting is making calls through phone calls and visits to ask for business, so specific to real estate. But marketing is other things that you do to drive awareness of who you are without actually making those calls, like letters, postcards, emails, personal notes, newsletters, etc. You don't want to just only do phone calls and that's the only type of awareness activities that you're doing. You can, postcards are really great for your own neighborhood. If you do once a quarter, do a postcard, one of them, the first one can be in Q1, it could be buyer, sellers listings needed or homes needed. We have a lot of buyers who are still looking for property after a busy fall, and we have very few listings. If you have a home that's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, we have buyers for you. We have another buyer who is looking for a 3-bedroom, 3-bath. I mean, so specifically asking for homes that specific buyers want. That could be your Q1. The Q2 one could be, this is a hot neighborhood. Here are 6 houses that have sold in the last month. And make sure to put the name of the brokerage, so this is 123 Elm Street, Keller Williams, John Smith, and then ABC Elk Street or whatever. And that's, Caldwell Banker, Susie Runyon or whatever. So you list all the listings that have happened, give them credit, of course, but you're just saying this is a hot market. We have lots of people in this neighborhood. So there's things you can do even as a new agent to do postcards to neighborhoods. It doesn't have to be it just sold, or just listed. That's not the only kind of marketing you can do with postcards. And then of course, handwritten notes go a long way. Anytime you have someone that does you a favor, send them a thank you note. That keeps them really appreciating you and being thankful that you reached out to them. And then you can do newsletters and things through command as well. So besides the phone calls, there's other types of marketing that you can do. If you look at command database, there are some tools in there that you can use to constantly remind yourself to email, call, text, etc. as you build these relationships with these folks. So the 8x8 is one that you use anytime you get a new contact, and you're basically touching them 8 times by doing calls, text, email, calls, text, email. You kind of rotate through every 30 days. And the 33 touch is more, that's doing the same thing, but spreading them a little bit farther out so that you can maintain that relationship over time, but you're not bombarding them as frequently as you might otherwise. So the 8x8 is more intense to build up awareness of who you are, and then 33 touch spreads it out over time. But ideally, through the networking, you're going to get a handful of appointments that will lead to listings and sales. And so you're driving your business forward. Does anyone have questions so far? Are y'all good?
Can I add something on text?
Yeah. What's the question? You're muted again.
No, it's something, I just wanted to just mention something that I've tried.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I'm doing cold calling, I've started using a voice to text feature on my texts. Mm-hmm. And I crafted a little blurb that says, hi, Kathy. I just wanted to let you know that we had 4 offers on a home in your neighborhood. Have you ever thought of selling?
Yeah, that's a good one.
And I blast it so I just go, I get on her text and I say, hi, Sally, comma, I punch up the little message and then it shoots off And I did that this weekend, and I sent out 39, and I got 5 responses
Oh,
from
that's wonderful.
people that I didn't reach, but they reached me from the text.
So are you using the command tool to do that, to send that out?
No, it's just like I have an iPhone,
Uh-huh. Okay.
and then
That's great.
it's a little process you go through, and it works. It's pretty handy because I call these people, and if I don't reach them, it's a backup. That's all it is.
Yeah. That's a really good idea.
That's a really good idea.
I love it. Uh-huh.
Maggie, where in command would you use that? I mean, where
Yeah. So I can show you guys that. Let me open up a window, and
that's a smart idea.
looks like people are trying to be admitted, but I thought Renee, I thought you were going to be letting people in, but I keep getting requests. Hi, Sandy. Hope you weren't waiting long. But let me show you the command screen. So I don't use command as much as I should. I'm still learning myself, but I did research this because I was curious too how it works. And they've changed it up a little bit since I was in training for command, but let me show you what I've learned. I'm going to open up my command window here first, and then I'll share my screen. So what you do is you're in the home screen here, and there's smart plans here. So you used to go to the contacts first and then to smart plans, but right now you go into smart plans the way they fixed it. And so I have 3 smart plans in here, and the way that you create them is you go to create here. And I think you can actually go to the library. Well, I'll do the library first because those are the ones that are already created for you in advance. It's a lot easier. If you want to do what Sam's talking about and create your own smart plan, I'll show you how to do that too. But in the library, if you search for like 8x8, it'll have hit enter. It'll show you all the pre-built 8x8 ones that other people had created. If you want to do something like, let's do text listing, just out of curiosity. Let's see if there's a text campaign for getting listings or something. How about we just do text? See what it says about text. Recapture text, Facebook leads and follow up. So there's several here that have the word text in the description. So you can kind of play around in the library, but otherwise what you do to create your custom one, like what Sam was doing, is you go to create, and we're going to call this one neighborhood text seller, what would you call it? Prospecting. Okay, so let's give it a name. So you can call it whatever you want.
Okay.
And then you go into the edit page here. And then basically you want, this is going to become a long list of activities that happen one after the other. So the first one will be create a task, or in this case, we're going to do send a message, send SMS. So what it's telling you here in the red box is that if you pay for the Trulia app on your phone, it will actually send the text for you. Like it'll actually send the text. Like you don't even have to do it. But for now, I'm just going to put that I'm going to, that we're supposed to just, send intro text. There are 8 homes that sold in your neighborhood. Are you interested in selling ? Or whatever you want to call it. So that's what we'll do for now. And then you can even put their first name at the front of the text by this function key here. You can do first name. So you can do hi, first name, comma, there are So there you go. So that's what the text is going to be. I don't think it'll let me save that. So I'd hit the checkbox to save it. And so then we're going to wait a week, let's say, and then we're going to make a call after that. So then I would go to a delay, set delay, which is this little button here. Sorry, I have to keep moving around the little box of faces every time. But set delay adds this, and you can say wait 7 days or 8 days or whatever you want to do, and hit save with the checkbox. And then you go to make a call. That's my next activity. Make a call, and then you want to say call to see if they got text, or however you want to do it. Did you know there were 8 homes that sold in your neighborhood? Question mark. And hit save. So this is an example of a campaign that I've custom created just with the idea that Sam just gave me. And then you can go 33 touch, which is the 33, or you can do 8 touches, which is 8 by 8. So depending on what you want to do. Does that help answer your question at all, Lee?
Yes, I think that's very smart.
And a lot of these they don't necessarily have to be actual email going out or actual text going out. I'm more, I'm kind of sensitive about sending emails that are unsolicited, just because I come from, I used to be a constant contact trainer. I did training for them and how to do permission-based marketing and only send emails to people that have asked for permission to be emailed. So I'm less likely to send a bulk email to a bunch of people that I know, which you can do with these tools here. Like you can have 100 people on there and send them an email every week. I'm more of a personal touch kind of salesperson. I want to actually have a phone conversation or a text that's one-on-one. That's just my style. So even so, you can still use this tool that says, don't forget to call, wait 7 days, then remind to email, wait 7 days, then send a Facebook message. You can put Facebook messages on here. So
are there privacy issues that we should be aware of before we send the text?
If it's a one-on-one and they've given you their phone number, it's okay. But there is privacy issues if you just bought the list from somewhere. Basically, you have permission to contact them one time, and if they ask for permission, you can say, as I hear about new listings in your neighborhood, would you like me to send you a text? That's permission-based marketing. You're asking for permission. And then you could add them to a list that says, if anything in Elk Grove goes on the market, text them. So there is ways to get that permission when you talk to them. Or if you want to do it old school like me, I don't send bulk messages anyway. I only do one-to-one contacts, and you don't have to worry about it. But yeah, it's a good point. You don't want to just add 100 phone numbers and just start sending them texts, because they're gonna mark you as spam probably. If at least a lot of them will. And the same thing with email. If you get marked as spam by enough people on email, the whole ISP, which means all of Google or all of Yahoo or all of Comcast, will no longer let any of your emails go through, even if you're just trying to reach out to a friend or relative. So you have to be careful with email spamming too, which is why, you always want to get permission to send those emails. Ask permission to send a newsletter. Ask permission to send texts. Yeah. All right, so let's go back to our screen here.
How do you normally say that in a text? You just write a sentence, would you like to receive future text messages?
Well, you want to talk to them one-on-one first. So first you need to actually talk to them. So you would never just only text people, hey, you want to get more texts from me? I would talk to them on the phone. So, hey, how are you doing? Are you interested in buying real estate? No, not really. Okay, well, your neighborhood is really hot right now. I keep seeing listings come up, and it's amazing what they're selling for. So I can just let you know every time there's a listing, just send you a message if you'd like. Is that okay? So you have to have a conversation with them to get that permission. Another way to do it is on your website or on your Facebook page. You can have a button that says add me to your newsletter list, and have a form you fill out on your website that says, is it okay to text you? Click yes. So there's database driven permission when someone fills out a form online that doesn't even require a personal contact.
Okay.
But that's more advanced once you get into working with your website. So this next slide is about developing a habit of doing your lead generation every day, every business day. The 3-hour habit, what other activities could be included? How could each hour be organized differently? So if you did you could do 1 hour of entering people into your database, and then another hour of personal phone calls and texts, and then another hour of working on campaigns. So you could break up your day, because if you're a new agent that doesn't actually have showings going on or listing appointments happening, you're still working full time, right? So there's still, you need to be working 8 hours a day. And if you're wondering, what should I fill my day with? Well, this is it, building those lead generation habits, building those marketing campaigns, talking to your coach, talking to other agents that you really respect about things that you can do to build your database up. Sorry, this is my cat, Milo. He wants to say hi. Say hi, Milo.
Maggie, you're in one of the hottest real estate markets in the United States right now, besides Lake Tahoe.
Oh, I think so. It's a little nuts here.
Because of all the video conferencing, everybody found out that for those people that, because of the changing employment landscape, some people are going to have a hybrid model where they have to go to work, but they can also work from home. They have proven without a question that video conferencing now works.
That's right.
And so in this regard, as soon as people found out they could work from home, Santa Cruz became the #1 destination in California.
Really?
Yeah, the second one was Lake Tahoe. And what goes on in Lake Tahoe is nuts.
I had no idea. That's amazing.
Yeah, if you live in San Jose, and I do a radio show about Silicon Valley real estate.
Oh, cool.
So one of the gals, I go to a number of brokers meetings, and last week one of the gals said she just sold a house for $357,000 over asking. And if you made an offer of $250,000 over asking, I guess you weren't in the top 8. So you can imagine what would happen if you were the agent.
Right.
Offered $250,000, you say, oh, we're not even in the top 8, So yeah. Santa Cruz became there's 2 things about Santa Cruz that are amazing. Number one, it is the least affordable city around the Bay Area, because only 1 in 10 people, if you drive on the freeway, 1 in 10 can afford the house they live in.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
San Jose has horrible real estate price-wise for first-time buyers. And so our ratio is about 1 in every 4 cars. Those people can afford their house. In Santa Cruz, it's 1 out of every 10, because a lot of high-income earners drive over the hill and live in Santa Cruz. If you grew up in Santa Cruz and you work at, let's say, a hamburger joint, or you make sandwiches for a living, you can't believe because if you're working in the Santa Cruz area, but because of video conferencing, you are the #1 destination in the United States. The #2 one is Lake Tahoe.
That's amazing. That is really wild.
So if you advertise, if you can get someone that wants to sell their listing.
That's really smart.
Yeah.
That's good messaging.
So you may consider pivoting just a little bit, just talk to them about, because of video conferencing, Santa Cruz is the top of the heap.
Yeah, I can feel the pressure from the demand. The demand is increasing here. I know that was happening, and I'm like fire hose trying to get all these buyers into homes. Inventory is insanely low, unfortunately, which limits the number of transactions all of us agents.
But your velocity is probably very high.
It closes fast. Stuff closes fast.
Also, the length of time it takes to sell is probably
exactly.
important.
If I can get them if I can find a listing that fits them, the sales cycle is real short, because they realize what the shortage is.
And for buyers in Santa Clara County, it's the same thing. If you tell some buyer, I know someone who just was involved with an offer on a property, and I was also involved in a property on a house in not such a good area, and it was 665. And so for us, 665 is condo market, but this is a single family residence, but it was not in the best part of town. At any rate, so my clients offered, about 5% over asking. We weren't in the top 20. And this house sold for over 30% over asking.
Dang.
Let's forget the 10%. It sold for well over 30% over asking, just like that.
Yep. Well, you're right about it being hot. So, well, we got to take advantage of this hot market, folks. We need to find your clients. Where are your buyers going to come from? Because you're right. There's one thing that happens anytime there's a pandemic or natural disaster, which we've had both, or economic changes, which we've had as well, is anytime there's changes, people move, people change jobs. They decide they want a house. They decide they want to sell their house. They decide they want a bigger house. They want to go on vacation more. They want to go on vacation less, invest in their home. So changes mean movement. People, no matter good or bad, doesn't really matter. When there's changes in your local economy, people are going to move. And so where are the movers at? You need to be out there in front of your Mets, be out there in front of your friends and family, and do all the things we're talking about in this particular training is about how to be in their face enough to where they know that you're there and you're ready to work with them. So they're the first person they think of whenever someone says real estate. I need someone to help with real estate. I have a lot of friends and clients in Mets that actually will tag me. Someone will say, I think about buying a house. Someone just types as a comment, Maggie Barr. Like they don't even say, Maggie Barr is a great agent, because they know if they tag me, I will see the message. I will respond immediately to that person saying, hi, I'm Maggie Barr. I'll send them a direct message, a private message saying, hi, Jill said that you're looking for a house. I'd love to help you out. So I have my warriors out there on Facebook looking for anybody who says they want to buy or sell real estate. They tag me and I know about it immediately. That's because they're my Mets, and I keep their relationships strong. I continue to contact them. So 8x8 is a high impact, high saturation technique designed to put you in the #1 position in the minds of everyone in your database. And it's 8 weeks in a row of contact. So here's an example. Week 1. Now this is from Gary Keller's book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. So some of this is older. It talks about handwritten letters, which we don't do as much of anymore. But anyway, as an example, drop off a letter of introduction, send a community calendar, even marketing statistics, a recipe card, inspirational card. Same as week 2, but choose a different mailing piece. Make a phone call. Hi, this is Maggie Barr with Keller Williams. Did I catch you at a good time? I won't take much of your time. How are you doing? Did you receive the such and such I sent you? That's great. Do you have any questions? The reason I'm calling is to find out who you might know that'd be interested in buying, selling, or investing in real estate, or however the script is that you want to customize for that person. And then you send them a free report, like what's the market doing right now in your neighborhood. Send a refrigerator magnet, a notepad, so you can buy little trinkets and things to mail to people that helps them think about you. Even if they throw it away, they still thought about you for 30 seconds, right? Make another phone call. Hi, did I catch you at a bad time? I won't take much of your time. Do you have any questions about the such and such I sent you, the market report I sent you? I really hope that you'll allow me to be your real estate agent for life. I know you're not buying now, but if you ever do, I'd love to be the one to help you out. So you're just kind of lovey-dovey touches. Let them know that you want their business, right? I think that when I was a new realtor, I thought, oh, that's so creepy. Someone's asking me to be their agent. I'm not even buying or selling, like, go away. It's like, I thought that's what they were thinking. I was projecting my thoughts on them. Like, I would never do that. That's creepy, right? But then I realized over time that what you're saying is, I like you as a person and I want to work with you. I know you're not buying or selling now, but you're an awesome person and I would love to be your realtor if you ever need one. You're saying that you want to be part of their life and that you want to be of service to them and you want their business because you want to have that relationship. There's nothing creepy or sleazy about it at all. It's just a mindset. It's your mindset that you have about what you're offering them. And some people have real estate questions that come up out of the blue, like maybe a relative dies and they want to know how probate works. What is probate? There's all kinds of questions that they might have that have nothing to do with them personally buying or selling. Or maybe their neighbor puts a fence and it looks like it's on top of their property. And they're like, what do I do? This person put a fence up and it's on my property. Who are they going to call? Right? So those are all examples of people that might have real estate questions that are not specific to them buying or selling, but they need help and you're the one that can help them out. So here's tips on implementing your 8x8 plan, whether you do it in Command or your own CRM, or if you just have written in an Excel spreadsheet. You want to put people in the 8x8 right away as soon as you meet them. So even if it's at the grocery store and someone behind you says, oh, I see you're a realtor. We were thinking about buying or selling, anything like that. Or I have a question for you. The lot next door has been vacant and I can't figure out who owns it. Can you help me out? Anything like that. You put them in the database right away. You put them in a Met right away, and you schedule whatever if you're going to mail them a letter, you go ahead and write it right away. Even if you're going to mail it a week later, you just go ahead and get in the habit of doing that right away. Make your calls. Always offer something of value like a market report or property analysis on their home. Even if they're renting, if you're curious to know what their home is worth, if they were to buy it. I've had people that want to buy their rental home. So you just kind of, if you want to use your calendar, if you're not using command for reminders, you can just put on every Wednesday, call, the next Wednesday, email, the next one, text, call Mary Sue, text Mary Sue, email Mary Sue. So whatever you need to do to set it up so that you don't have to look at a list of 25 people and figure out, do I call her? Do I email him? What am I supposed to do? You want to put it into some kind of system. And that's what command can help you with, or if you're not in command, your own calendar. You want to modify it to work for you. So if you feel like, so I have someone on my team that loves the text. She's younger than I am, kind of millennial, and she thinks calls are weird. And and I'm like, you need to call and talk to this person. She's like, no, I text everybody. But that works for her. And she has a lot of relationships that I probably wouldn't have because of the text that she sends, because she works differently. So her 8x8 plan might not be call, email, text. It might be text, email, text, call, right? Whatever pattern
Whatever works.
whatever works for you, you can fine tune it. And then after the 8x8, you put them on the 33 touch. So that's once a month contact instead of every week. So once you've established that relationship and the rapport, you can spend less time on that particular person as long as you stay top of mind for them. And you conclude every contact with a request for referral by just saying, okay, well, I got to go, but let me know if you think of anyone that's going to buy or sell real estate. I'd love to hear about it. Just kind of remind them that referrals are part of it too, that you're not just interested in their business, you're interested in them sending you referrals. And then you take notes on every call, of course, every communication. So if someone says, oh, it's my son's birthday next week, and you contact them next week, you can say, how was the birthday party, right? When I worked at Dell Computer years ago, I did 90 calls a day selling computers. That's what they had us do. I got in the habit of call, hang up, call, notes, hang up, call, notes, hang up. Da, 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 da. I could take notes as I was talking, and I would be on the phone for like 40 seconds, but I had the notes done. I got in a really good habit of putting detailed notes on every single conversation. Even if I left a voicemail saying, do you know anyone that's going to buy or sell? Or left a voicemail saying, if you need a lender for a mortgage, I'm happy to help you. The more that you can remember about the last conversation you had with those people, about their lives,
Absolutely.
about the name of their dog, the name of their husband,
Absolutely.
all of that stuff, that's how you can help with the rapport building. Some people will go on vacation and you can say, oh, how was Tahiti? I heard you went on a cruise. So taking notes is a big part of building this relationship. You also can have different groups for 8x8s. Like this is the neighborhood, my neighborhood group. So every time you can tag that in command or in your database, so that as you're going through the database to make your calls that day, you can say, oh, this is a neighborhood call. So I'm going to change it up a little bit because there's a new listing that just came up. Or you can have, I'm in a club called the Valley Women's Club, and it's an environmentalist club. It helps with environmental campaigns in the San Lorenzo Valley. So I would put, BWC on there. So when I talk to them, I would say, oh yeah, did you see the email from the president about how she's going to help people clear their lots in an environmentally friendly way so it doesn't rush into the creek the first time we have a rain. So there's little things you can do to personalize your communications if you have them into clusters based on how you know them, or based on even buyers versus sellers, things like that. That's what the small groups are. And you create 8x8 for one of the lead source, customize 8x8 for one of the lead sources on 26 using the blank form on 27. So they're in your workbook on page 26 and 27 is an exercise you can do to help you tickle your mind in terms of how you can create these groups and create these new folks that you're going to put into your database. 33 touch is an overkill over time approach. It will ensure year-round contact. It means never having to worry that someone gets forgotten. I don't know how many times I've had people say, oh yeah, I forgot you were a realtor. I should have called you about that. I didn't even realize, and I'm just like, how could you forget I was a realtor? It's like, what is wrong with you? Well, it's because I haven't talked to them in over a year. For all they know, I could have changed jobs, right? So that's what this 33 touch is for, reminding people, yes, I am still a realtor. I haven't moved away. I'm still here, right? So on page 29, it talks about the 18 touches as part of the 33 campaign, a combination of emails, letters, cards, and then 8 of those need to be thank you or thinking of you cards, or it was so nice to talk to you and catch up. Telephone calls, birthday wishes, make sure to put their birthday in there too, because that's a great excuse to call someone if you're calling them once a month, right? At least one of those is going to be a birthday call or anniversary, if you know what their anniversary is, or their child's birthday, if they're young, between the ages of 0 and 10. Oh, how was Lily's 7th birthday? I saw the photos online. You look like you guys were having fun. And then Mother's and Father's Day cards. So keep in mind that we're building relationships here. It doesn't matter if you're selling cars or soap or real estate, you're building a relationship. That's what we're doing here. We're not just only talking about houses. And then your plan, just do it. Some days you're in a bad mood, you don't feel like talking to anybody, and you're just like, I'm just going to sit and watch an hour of TV instead because I'm in a mood this morning. I don't feel like talking to anybody. Just do it. It's just saying, let's go ahead and how about, sometimes what I do is I trick myself. I'm like, okay, Maggie, you can watch 15 minutes of your favorite TV show, and then I'm going to set a timer, and then 15 minutes of phone calls. And then if you still want to watch TV, then you can have 15 more minutes of TV. And then I do that, and after 15 minutes of phone calls, I don't want to stop, and I just keep going, and I'm done. My mind is shifted, and now I'm in phone call mode, and I can keep moving forward. So even if you aren't in the mood, just do it. Delegate. If you have people on your team or assistants, if you work with a team and you need help, or if you're going on vacation, you can delegate some of this responsibility. Make 3 calls a year, write 3 handwritten notes after each phone call. You can set these goals to whatever you feel comfortable with, even if it is only 3 calls a year. At least you're doing something to keep that relationship in place. And then write 3 handwritten notes. So that's just saying that, if you talk to Betty Sue and you want to, you can write 3 notes saying, it was so nice talking to you. And then another note you'll send for their birthday. Happy birthday, July 15th. And then another one, it's a Christmas card. Merry Christmas, Mary Jo. I hope you and the kids have a wonderful holiday. And you just put them in a folder so that when the date, a tickler file, so that when the date comes around, boom, there's all the June birthdays. Take them to the post office. I'm done. Here are all my Christmas cards. They're already written. Here you go. So you write things in advance. You write birthday cards and Christmas cards as you're going through the database. It's another trick, so that you don't have to write 500 Christmas cards at Christmas time. Who has time for that, right? And always come from contribution. While you're talking to them, I guarantee something's going to come up that you can help with, right? They're going to say, I need a hauler. You can say, aha, I have a list of haulers. Or they're going to say, I wish I knew someone at the board of supervisors because I'm having a problem with PG&E. I can say, oh, I know who that is. It's Bruce McPherson. He's our district supervisor. I have his phone number right here. Let me text it to you. So because you're networking all the time, you know people they don't know. You've got contacts. You know who to call when your power goes out. Oh, here's the website you go to check to see if your power's back on. I'll text it to you. Boom, boom, boom. As you talk to them, you're going to see opportunities for you to be a contributor in their life and be a source of information. So they start to figure that out over time. Pretty soon, every time they need to know who the supervisor is, they just text you, hey, Maggie, who was the supervisor for Boulder Creek? I can't remember who it is. Boom. So now they're touching you. They're coming to you because you're the source of information, and they know that. You'll always have the contact. This happens to me a lot on Facebook. Someone will ask a question on Facebook. They'll say something like, oh, my septic system isn't working. One of my past clients will just type Maggie Barr. They'll tag me. because I know the name of 20 different septic companies and which ones are expensive and which ones have a long lead time, and which ones do reinstalls versus just inspections. So people have learned to come to me for information. That's by being a giver, right? Following up, give, follow up, thank you, right? So it's a relationship that has giving on both sides. They give you tips, you send them a thank you card, you give them tips, they remember you later when someone needs help. Get personal. Anchor a mental association of the name and face with your touches. Telephone calls and pop-bys are a glue that will hold the action plan together. Sometimes if you don't remember, like sometimes I'll have a client and I'll remember something really interesting about them, like their sister came with them. Their sister Betty came with them to look at the house. So I put that in my notes. There's and so when I talk to them later, I'll say, oh, is Betty going to come with us this time? It was so nice having her along. She's got such an eye for design. And they're like, oh wow, I can't believe she remembered the name of my sister from a year ago, right? So anything that you can put in your notes to help you remember that person or something about their life so that you can have a more personal conversation with them, that helps. And then pop-bys, although we're not doing them right now, are basically people that you know where they live and you go to their house. And I did some pop-bys right after COVID started by dropping off flowers. I went to Home Depot and they have these little baby flower pots with like 1 or 2 flowers in them for like, $3. And I got 30 of them. And me and someone on my team, Arlene, wrapped little gift wrapping paper and put a ribbon on it and put a little note card that said, just thinking of you, hope everything's okay. Give me a call if I can help with groceries or food delivery, because COVID had just started. People were afraid to go to the grocery store. So that's a pop-by you can do even now with COVID. So actually physically going to their house. Differentiate yourself from the competitors. This is talking about things that you do that other people don't. Like I'll tell people, and I specialize in mountain realty when I talk to anyone who lives in the mountains, because there are 1,000 realtors in Santa Cruz County, but only about 20 of them are full-time agents that live in the mountain area. So that narrows the field a lot as far as my competition, right? Or if I'm in Santa Cruz, I'll say, oh, and my office is right there on Morrissey. I work right there down the street from you. That differentiates me from the competition. So think of things about yourself, or maybe you play soccer, or maybe your kids go to the same school, or just like you have triggers to remember who they are in your database, give them triggers about who you are. What is unique about you that makes you interesting to them? Maybe it's you guys went to the same alma mater. Maybe you both love swimming around the pier. Maybe you both like, the Wonder Burger at Burger King or something. So try to find areas of commonality to make you stand out in their mind as well. Be consistent. Put your plan on autopilot as much as possible, because we all need reminders, especially when we get busy with escrows. And set aside a specific time during your 3 hours to make those contacts. So again, this is about habit building, time blocking. I think you've probably already talked about time blocking already. So this is back to time blocking, and keep it simple. So, even if you can't think of anything to say, you don't think, oh God, what am I going to talk about? Am I going to talk about club stuff? Am I going to talk about market analysis? Like, you don't have to overanalyze every single phone call. It'll come to you when you hear their voice. You can say, oh, you sound like you're really busy, or you sound like you're really sleepy, or I hope I'm not bothering you. They'll tell you things like, oh yeah, I'm about to go to the grocery store. And that starts a whole conversation, right? So you'll get in the habit of picking up cues from them about what to talk about. You don't always have to have a perfect script every time you make every single phone call. More important that you're showing that you care about them. This is back to Bruce Hardy, this person in our manual. He kept in touch with his car salesman. His car salesman did not keep in touch with him. What was the result? So he probably sold a house to his car salesman. But he didn't buy cars from him. I don't know, but it's in your course book on page 34. And that's a good point though, because people that sell to you are also people that you can sell to. So you can flip the script. If they're calling you, like sometimes I'll have people send me a message on LinkedIn or try to connect with me on Facebook or LinkedIn, and they don't have any real reason to connect with me other than I think that they sell jewelry or they're in a networking club and they're just trying to build their network just like me. So I'll reply to them and say, oh, thanks, Julie, for contacting me. Your jewelry is beautiful. Do you know anyone that's thinking about buying and selling real estate? Because I would love to help you or help them. So I go back from their sales pitch into my sales pitch.
Sure.
So we're creating this mutual relationship, right? We're both helping each other out. Our own personal little network of two salespeople, right? So I'm going to stop for just a second. Does anyone have any questions? I don't want to railroad anybody through this stuff if you're not picking up on it. Anything? I don't see anything in the questions. Nope, we're good to go. Okay, let's keep trucking. So we're talking about budget. Some of the stuff is expensive. If you buy trinkets to send in the mail, if you buy cards to mail, if you want to do a mailing, physical mailing, there are costs involved. And we're not saying that you have to spend money or you're not going to make any business, but there are some physical costs that are definitely worth the investment. So if you've never done a postcard mailing, do a trial run of the 100 houses closest to your house. You can go to any title company, the account manager for either First American Title, Stewart, Old Republic, and just say, I need the 100 addresses closest to my house. And you can do through Command or through another company like CoreFact is one that I've used. Has a little map of their neighborhood, has a dot on their house, and then it saves a website for them that they can go back to later with your name on it. So there's just different ways to send postcards out, but basically, do that as a trial run and see if you get any results from it. So, maybe they say you need to do repeated touches. So try at least 3, either once every quarter or once every month, repeated touches. But it's important that you learn which investments are worth it. If it's going to be buying items that you can drop off, like the flowers, or spending money on mailings, or buying Facebook ads. Command has great Facebook ads. That's money too. So you do need to put your money where your mouth is if you want to accelerate the results that you get from these touches. Like if you're friends with, 1,000 people, you can buy an ad to people that you're friends with. That's another way to do it on Facebook. So just try to think about how you can actually invest money into these different ideas and accelerate the results some. Using on the formula on page 35 of the manual that you have, it determines your networking costs. So I can actually try to share that with you. I'm going to pop out of this for a minute. And I want page 35. I'll just scoot up to 35. 15, 45, 40, 39. Okay, I'm going to share with you now. Okay, so this is in your handout. Every 12 people in your METS database marked to a 33 times a year, restated 360 or 396 touches. So 396 touches times 50 cents, your average cost per touch is $198, and you got 2 sales out of that. Divided the number for 2, your cost per sale is only $99. So if you're going to make a $5,000 to $20,000 commission, is it worth $99 for that investment? So yeah, things can kind of feel like they're really expensive, but if you do a campaign and you get just 1 sale, all you're looking for is 1 sale to justify that cost. You've paid for the next 25 campaigns that you're going to be doing. in the future. Even if only 3 of them pay off, you're still ahead financially. So they just want you to know that, if, you want to try to experiment with different kinds of paid advertising and paid marketing, because it does get you results faster if you do it right. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go back to my slides now. It won't let me do a share screen for some reason, so we're doing it this way. And let's see, do we have any questions? I thought I saw a question. Let's see if there's anything in the chat window. Nope, nothing in the chat window. Okay, good. Okay, so that's the cost conversation there. All right, so how much does it cost to network using the formula on page 35? How much does it cost to not network? So they're basically saying, if you don't spend any money on advertising and you don't have any transactions in your first year, and you spend $1,000 for your association fees and $1,000 for your MLS fees, and how much money on gas, it's like you need to accelerate your income by doing some of these paid advertisings, because you don't want to have no sales. And then you spent all this money on being a realtor and you're losing money, you're bleeding cash, basically. They don't want you to do that either. So it's just, you really should think about where you can invest money. And if you're not sure about spending money, like which campaign should I spend money on, then find a trusted friend or a coach in your organization, in your office, and say, hey, I need, I only have $100 a month to spend. What would you do if you were me? Right? Try to make it your business to figure out what's going to make money, what's going to pay off, right? This is part of your job too. And modify the touch over time as you see things improve. Every team of realtors that has a lot of successful agents has a custom campaign that they're running that works better for their market. Things are different, like here in the mountains, than they are in Santa Cruz, than they are in San Francisco, than they are in Silicon Valley. How are things different? I don't know, but you will customize over time. And this goes back to breaking into small groups, creating a customized plan. And this is something that if we were in class in person, we would stop and work on for a little bit. But I'm going to keep going. Just put this in your action item list for after the class to think about. So networking in your circles, networking to your circles, you're generating leads. In your inner circles, you have your allied resources, which is your business contacts. What is your strategy that's unique for those people? For your advocates, people that know you well and they recommend you already, what can you do differently for them? I have something that we started in our team in January where we were going to do 4 events throughout the year: Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. The first one was a welcome party for a new agent. The second one was going to be a wine tasting, and the third one was going to be a party in the forest where we had, we were going to have a kind of a fiesta theme, and then it was going to be a holiday reception in December. So obviously with COVID, that particular strategy didn't work, but we were only going to invite our top 100 clients because we wanted to create our own personal small network of people, because we wanted our clients to meet each other, build relationships with each other, see each other on a regular basis. And we're building our own community that grows over time, so that those people are not just advocates anymore, they're core advocates. So we were building a team of 100 core advocates. So the lead generation strategy, the things that you talk to these folks about, will vary based on how deep of a relationship you have and which category that they're in. And that's what they're saying here is your touches and your conversations might be, hey, are you coming to the reception on Friday for some of your contacts, but not to others? And that's okay. It's okay to have a different strategy for different groups. Or if you have a club that you're in and everyone in the club is over 70, because it's a garden club and there's the only ones that show up. And so maybe the strategy you have for your garden club contacts doesn't involve hiking, you know, it's like, because they're all over 70, or, you know, you customize your campaigns, your messages, your activities, your conversations based on these, not only where you met them from, which group they're in, but also how tight of a relationship you have with them. And with the ones that you know well, I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine. You want to also recommend them to other people too. So if you have a friend that's an accountant, recommend them a lot. If you have a friend that's an attorney, recommend them a lot, right? How can you help them get business too? If they're a dry cleaner, how many clients can you send to them? Can you talk, if someone posts on Facebook, I don't know how to get the ink stain out of my brand new white dress, you know, tag Betty Sue because she has a dry cleaner in downtown Boulder Creek, and you're sending business to them. And go to their Yelp pages. What I do too is like go to your clients' Yelp pages if they're like a acupuncturist or a veterinarian, and say, I love working at Boulder Creek Veterinarian. It's my favorite place to take my cats because they already know how hard it is to manage a Persians, or they, you know, whatever it is. You know, find ways that you can help them with their business. Go onto their LinkedIn profile, give them a review on their Facebook business page, like it, give them a review on Facebook, right? Go to Yelp. There's so many opportunities. If you have a client that's a small business owner, you could spend like 3 hours writing reviews in 20 different places, because the way that the world is set up right now with all these different portals and business pages, you know, that's a great way for you to scratch their back and help them out. And they will remember you're the only realtor that gave them a review on Yelp. You're the one that they're going to recommend if someone asks about a realtor, right? Who are your allied resources? So this is an exercise in 5 minutes where you want to just create a list, go through your contacts, and think about all these folks that we're talking about, people that you know. Maybe you look at the last 50 texts that you did. Who were you texting? Who are your friends that you're texting that aren't real estate agents or buyers or sellers? Those are the people that we're talking about here, right? Build those relationships. And then networking to different categories, working with your allied resources. You could visit one-on-one with them, do a coffee date. You can even, I mean, now with COVID, it obviously is a little bit different, but you could just do coffee Zooms and say, hey, let's do a coffee Zoom at 10 o'clock for 15 minutes. We're both going to get our coffee and sit in front of our computer and just visit and catch up, because I miss you. I miss seeing you. I haven't seen you forever. We haven't been at a club meeting for 6 months because we don't have club meetings anymore, but I just wanted to catch up and see how you're doing, you know? So there's things you can do where you have a deeper conversation with them than just a phone call, just an email, just a text. You schedule an appointment to meet with them one-on-one and let them know that they're wanted, you know? I mean, some people don't do COVID well. I could be by myself all day and be perfectly fine and without getting lonely or whatever. I lived on my own for 30 years, you know, in my own apartment. But some people can't do that. They need human contact. They have to have a conversation, especially if they're moms with children. They have to have an adult conversation. They've been talking to children all day. So just saying, can we just do a 5-minute Zoom? You know, that's a huge gift to them. You're giving them a gift. So those are the people that are your allied resources that you're really nurturing those relationships with. So, and the same thing, remind your vendors that your business depends on referrals. People that do services for you when you're, like, for example, someone that does lawn care for your clients. Say, hey, I haven't got a referral from you in a while. You know, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. When are you going to send me some business? I know you talk to a lot of realtors, but you know I'm awesome, right? You know I'm awesome. I am the most awesome realtor, you know, right? You can kind of like tease them and stuff like that. You know, let them know that you want referrals from them. You're giving their name out to all these people. When are you going to get some business? So those are the partners that you work with in the community. And then your advocates are the people that are the tried and true loyal people. Don't entrust their loyalty to memories. Touch them regularly. Send the items of value. Meet with them once a month. Nurture those relationships. How many of your advocates have you met with in the past month? How do you plan to meet with them in the coming months? Put them on your calendar as a touch. Put them in your command database or in your Chime database or whatever database you're using. There's a chart on page 43 to help with this exercise. Networking your different categories, working with your core advantage. If advocates are fans, core advocates are your concert promoters and are well placed to provide you with a steady stream of leads. So I do have I probably only about 10 people I would say that actively pursue leads for me. Like they'll read someone that says, "Oh, I'm tired of living in Boulder Creek," and they won't wait for them to say, "I want to sell my house." They'll just contact them assertively and go, "Well, if you ever decide to sell, you need to contact Maggie." Like they're actually, I have clients that call me up and say, "Hey, did you know there's a new listing in my neighborhood? It's down the street. It's a 2-bedroom, 3-bath. It's listed at $750,000. It was listed before, but they actually took it off the market. Now it's back on again, and they got the refrigerator upgraded." And they're like trying to sell me this listing in their neighborhood because they want me to get business. They want to help me out. They're like, they practically work for me. Those are your core advocates. So how can you develop those relationships and provide a high level of service with those people? What sort of services can you provide them with? You know, you can do really, I've heard some people do things like, "Hey, I'm going to send you a guy that washes cars. I met this guy and he'll go to your house and he'll wash your car. And I think you're just one of my favorite clients. I'm going to send him over to your house. Can he come on Saturday at noon?" You know, you can actually give gifts like that, gifts of service, or say, "Hey, I'm going to be in your neighborhood. I'm packing up cookies for all my clients. I'm going to drop them off for you. Are you going to be around?" You know, think about those core advocates, the people that you really want to nurture those relationships with, and spend, you know, that's what this exercise here is for. So when we hang up on the Zoom call, you want to take these exercises to heart and think about how you can proactively reach out to them. Think of creative ways, things that would impress you. Like I just imagine myself with the realtor who lives next door. What would the awesome realtor next door do for me? What could he do for me? I have to think about it. Well, my cars are always dirty. He could wash my car. He could help me hang the pictures over my couch because it's too heavy and I can't lift it. Like, put yourself in the client's shoes. What are things that they would love help with from a neighbor, not just a realtor, but from a neighbor, right? You know, cutting down branches that hang in front of their window, anything like that. You have to be creative to think about ideas. And then finally, now that we've developed these awesome relationships with these people, they're thinking about us, they know who we are, they know we're a realtor, they know that we're an expert in our field, they know that we do webinars. How can we use those relationships to drive referrals? So imagine that your network is 216 people divided by 6. So you're already getting, you could already get 36 deals a year from them. Imagine if each one of them only knows 6 people, each person knows someone selling their home, that's 216 deals, right? So it's a multiplier effect. You can get business through those referrals, but you have to continue to remind them that my business runs on referrals. I need referrals in order to keep going. And my friends are the best source of referrals. Strategy to ask for referrals, educate them, let them know that you're relying on them for referrals. Ask them, do you know anyone that's buying or selling? And then rewards, you can give out $5 gift certificates from Starbucks. Just buy a pack of 20 of them. You can get them at Costco for less than $5 with different gift certificates. There's like discounted gift certificate packs at Costco. Or like movie ticket coupons or anything like that. And then when someone gives you a referral, you mail it to them right away, the same day. Thank you for giving me a referral for, you know, Betty Sue or Johnny or whatever. You don't pay them only when the deal closes, because that's a referral fee that's not even allowed. But you can thank them for the referral when you receive the referral, whether there's a result or not. And so that's what the reward can be, a thank you card, and just dropping a quick little note. And then educate. How many people do you know who could readily communicate to a prospective referral that the benefits of using you as your agent? And so I think about people that are already networkers themselves, like the club I was talking about, the board members, there's, you know, 10 of them. Well, they all are very social people. They wouldn't be in that role as a board member. So I focus on them because they have networks of their own, right? So it's not just, you know, you want to take that into consideration too. Who are people that talk to a lot of people? on a regular basis. It's your job to educate them on the value of referrals and explain what to do. Should they, you don't want them to just pass out your number. You don't want them to go, oh, here's Maggie's phone number, and then they're done. You want them to say, oh, let me have Maggie call you. She's great with that. Let me get your phone number and I'll have her give you a call. And they bring me the phone number. Now I've got the name and the phone number and the contact, so they're in my database. I can nurture that relationship. It's now independent of my friend who gave me the referral, and the contact's more likely to happen. Because how many times have people given you phone numbers for random services and they end up in the pocket of your car and you find them like 3 years later? I don't know what this number is. I have no idea. So you're more likely to get a contact if you educate them about how they need to get the name and phone number from the person. That's a much better way to help you out, and explain what to do. What if it's in person? What if it's over the phone? Whether it's on social media, you want them to know how to handle that lead basically for you, and what's the easiest way. So I just tell people, just text me their first name and their phone number and I'll take it from there. That's all I need. Just text me their contact. The easier it is for them, the better. That way, if they just met them at the store, standing in line at the grocery store, you don't need their email address and their last name and their address, blah, blah, blah. Just the first name and the phone number. I can take it from there. And these days with Google, you can look up and figure out their last name and their address and all that stuff a lot of times too. So educating your contacts, this is a workshop opportunity on page 52. I'll show you that exercise. Let me pop out of sharing here for a minute. All right. And share a screen again. Go to page 52. 45, 52. Okay. Okay, determine what you will do to educate your prospects, customers, and past customers. Get into the habit of ending my telephone calls and letters using a PS. So at the end of your email too, you can say, if you happen to know of anyone who's buying or selling, please let me know. The same thing with your phone calls before you hang up. Oh yeah, don't forget, call me if you hear of anyone that wants to buy or sell. So you just kind of constantly remind them. In every place and any document that I send to prospects, make sure to mention, such as newsletters, postcards. I will include a small eye-catching referral graphic that looks something like this, so just letting you draw a little graphic that says, I love referrals with a heart around it, for example. You can create a graphic for the footer of your email saying, my business depends on your referrals. Or one that I really like, I don't know whose it was, it might even be Laura's, said, the best compliment you can give me is a referral, something like that. And then there's other ideas to use color in your referral logo, or turn it into a sticker that you can stick onto marketing materials or postcards. Turn it into a magnet that you can mail to people. Write an article about it on your Facebook page, or share an article about it. Use the scripts during your buyer presentations. That's a great opportunity. Anytime you do a listing presentation or a buyer presentation, add a page in there saying, my business depends on your referrals. Please let me know if you know anyone buying or selling, or something like that. So you have multiple opportunities to remind people, to train them that you are depending on them for those referrals, and that it's actually something they should take a few seconds out of their day to do, because it really will make a big difference and help you out, right? Some people might think, oh, you're a realtor, you have more business than you can handle, I don't need to send her referrals, she's probably busy anyway. You don't want them to think that. You want to think them, oh yeah, Maggie needs referrals, that's right, I'm going to go ahead and send that over. So that's an example exercise that you can do. Ask. Not everyone thinks to ask of a referral, so make sure to include that in your scripts. Every time you write a letter, you can practice asking for a referral in the course book. There's an example of different scripts and things that you can do to do rewards, reward the right behavior. So appreciation. So like I had a client send me another client, and I thanked her for sending me the referral. Then when the client signed a listing agreement, the new one, I said, did you know that Ellen signed a listing agreement? Thank you so much. And then when we got into escrow, can you believe she's actually in escrow now? We're closing in 30 days. I just want to thank you again. And when then they close, thank you so much for that referral. So you can do repeated touches. You don't just thank them one time. You let them know every stage of the transaction. Recognition and appreciation are as important as gifts. It doesn't have to be something physical. And reciprocate when possible. If they have a small business, refer them, go out of your way to help them find business too. Plan your rewards through a 33 touch. Create an advocate appreciation plan. You could do a campaign, maybe create a campaign like we did earlier in Command called the Thank You Campaign, and do a phone call, an email, and a mailer, a letter or sticker or a gift certificate, where you've created a plan to handle these referrals as they're coming in. If a customer is on another plan, cancel that one and change them over. So if they were on a 33 touch or follow up, then switch them over to the advocate appreciation plan, which is more touches and different kinds of gifts and invitations to receptions or whatever it is that you do that's special for people that give you referrals. You really want to, I have one friend that's, she does financial planning in San Jose, and every year she has a beach party for all of her clients, and they find a spot on the beach and they set up tables and lights and pillows and blankets and bring food and cocktails, and she goes to town. It's once a year, that's all she does. But the neat thing is that every year her clients remember each other from the year before, and they build relationships with each other. And so they look forward. It's almost like a family reunion. They get to catch up. Oh, how are the kids doing? How's the dogs? It's so nice to see you again. So that she creates this nurturing past, client and past client club that they get to be part of. That's an example of an advocate appreciation activity. So, I've had other agents I've sent referrals to in other parts of the country, and I'll find them through Command or Connect or whatever, or even through Google sometimes, depending on if they're Keller Williams or not. And I'll send them a referral, and then they send me a thank you. But then every 6 months, they send me an email saying, hey, just checking in, wanted to see if you had any clients in Las Vegas coming our way. We would love to help them out. So I'm on a 33 touch for them, because I gave them a referral, and they don't want me to forget that in Las Vegas, any clients that come to Las Vegas from Santa Cruz, that's where they want the clients to go, so that I don't forget who the Vegas contact is. I remember, oh yeah, it's Sandra. She's awesome. She sends me a card at Christmas every year, and she calls me once a year, or her assistant will call me once a year. So it's the same thing. It's a partner campaign, basically, is what it is. It's not just about clients, but you're doing touches for your referrals too. So look at the 33 touch plan for your advocate appreciation group, and in small groups, develop a customized plan using the worksheet. So there's a tool in here you can use for small groups. If you're working with, maybe you have at your office, you have a lead gen group, you could practice this with that group. Since we're not in a classroom setting right now. So we're going into the final thoughts here. I'm not sure how I'm doing on time. Am I over or under? I'm not sure, but I'm going to keep going. Am I over? I'm over. I can't hear you, Lee. He's my timekeeper. What was that?
You're good. You're good.
Okay, good.
You got plenty of time.
Okay, good. Probably should have figured that out. Okay, so networking, it's one of the easiest and most pleasurable ways to do business. You start to get addicted to it after a while. If you haven't done your calls in a few days, you start your chest starts to tighten, like something's wrong. I'm missing something in my life, because I'm used to this positive feedback I get when I do my calls, Through the 8x8 and 33 touch, you are ensuring a steady stream of leads, referrals, and new and repeat business. and you want to keep the financial rewards in mind. You know, you are getting business from this. You are generating income. You don't need to pay for ads, you know, in expensive places in order to get business. You can generate it with your own sphere. We all have new contacts we meet every day. Let's put it all to work. So this is, I think the next couple of slides, putting power session ahas. This is my opportunity to ask you guys to unmute yourselves and tell me if you've gotten any ahas out of this, things that you thought of that are creative that you never would have thought of before this class.
I think it's a very good program. I'm just now starting to roll my existing email farms into the KW command system.
Okay.
I'm going to use this 33 touch, the 8x8. I'm going to use them all.
Great. Okay.
Or the smart plans and see which one works the best.
All right, cool. Thanks, Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else have any aha moments during the training?
Yeah, I do.
Uh-huh.
So you had mentioned the allied resources, the 5-minute Zoom might be a gift for your, have you done that? I mean, what kind of things did you discuss with your, you know, for 5 minutes? I mean, I'd like to dive into that a little bit.
Yeah. So it's, I start off with them. The easiest way to start a deep conversation is by asking questions. And it can be as simple as, how's your day been? And they'll say, oh, well, I just had to get my car cleaned because my dog peed in the back seat. You know, oh, what's your dog's name? How long have you had your dog? So you're really just asking very simple, open-ended questions to begin with, and showing that you genuinely care about their well-being. And then we talked about taking notes. What's their husband's name? What's their child's name? What's their pet's name? Have they been on a vacation? If you know something about that person, their personality, like maybe they like to paint. Have you done any paintings lately? You know, or maybe you saw something on their Facebook page where they, you know, there was a death in their family. It can be something negative too. It doesn't have to be something positive. You can say, I'm so sorry to hear about your dad passing. That must have been horrible for you. And then just stop talking and just listen, right? They'll have something to say. They'll say, oh yeah, the funeral, we couldn't even get together in person. We had to do it over Zoom or whatever. It's really all about them. You want them to drive the conversation, because the more they talk to you, the more they like you. It's subconscious.
Okay.
They're talking about their anxieties, their fears, their things that they're excited about. Someone actually cares about their life that's not in their immediate family. Especially with COVID, people don't get to have as many conversations as they're used to. So a lot of times, like I did a touch base with a client who lost his home in the fires, and I had him on the phone for 2 hours, and the whole time I was just going, oh, that's terrible. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that. Oh my, you poor thing. Like 2 hours. I didn't say anything. He was like on the verge of tears. He was so frustrated. He was underinsured. And, you know, he wasn't going to be able to rebuild the house he wanted to. And he got laid off recently. And like, he was like in a really hard place in his life. He had no one to talk to. He had no close family. His wife left him. He had just moved to Boulder Creek. He didn't know anybody here. He only knows one guy who lived down the street. I mean, and he's so desperate for conversation and someone to just listen and hear him. And so we invited him over to our house last night for dinner, and it was the same thing. I fed him a salad. He was just telling the whole stories all over again, everything, the horrible things that he was going through. And my husband and I were just like, I mean, like, there's, you know, we don't have money to give him. I'm going to start a GoFundMe page for him, but sometimes just being someone that's listening and shows that you care is all that they need. That's all their soul needs at the moment. So how do you know who in your clientele has suffering right now unless you call them? How do you know?
Great, perfect.
So you know, Sam, the point that Maggie was making is a very strong one. It's been codified. It's called the Fabian strategy, which means that you find out something about people to get that emotional that emotional connection made. You just got to make sure that you're listening with empathy. But if you really want to do some digging, look them up. You might find they're really big on Cocker Spaniels, and they never mention it because the things that are pressing in on them have nothing to do with dogs. So if you happen to casually break the subject, and you guys have any pets, and you already know they've got Cocker Spaniels, it will give you a leg up, because here's what really happens there's a thing called relative proximity. Okay? That means if you touch base with them periodically, just find how they're doing. They know you do real estate. If you happen to ask them about some things and you keep that connection, you're going to focus on a major point from a minor comment. And the minor comment may be nothing more than, how was the dog's birthday? In the middle of that, they're going to say, you know what, we're thinking about getting another dog and we need more space. So what happens is that the conversations that you start, that casual conversations, will lead to business because it helps fill you out as an individual. You become a real person. And a real person is someone they can call back and forth. So suddenly it's not you just calling them. So if you look in your own community, if you have like a break-in on a street, well, then call a local police department, local fire department, see if you can set up in somebody else's garage locally on the same street, a safety awareness program that the key speakers are local officials in this. And if you do that, or if there's been a power shortage, or with the water, you can do a whole bunch of small, as Maggie says, 5-minute Zooms, and you can hit these things. And if you know some people have been directly affected, you could reach out to them individually and say, listen, did you hear about the robbery a block from you? And they'll say, well, yeah. Or did you hear about the school that had to be closed down? Yeah. Well, then that's not only the topic that's relevant, but because you're talking to them, you have a certain proximity to them. I mean, you're talking about relevant topics directly to them. That makes you top of mind. And if you were to give them kind of a recap of what's going on a weekly basis, ultimately they'll be having conversations, nothing about real estate. But when real estate comes up, because you've been top of mind on all sorts of subjects like why the garbage didn't get picked up on Thursday, what about the guy down the street that let all his dogs loose? What is happening is you become a normal individual that's talked about in that household. And if you can benefit someone, like if you know somebody that's, as Maggie says, that's gone through a tough time and you reach out and you're just being there, sometimes being there is more than anyone else did. I'll give you an example. I'm involved with the Kiwanis Club in Cambrian Park. So I'm the new incoming president, I decided to call all the membership. So one of these guys is really big in a big Catholic church here. So I called him and I said, how you doing? And he said, Lee, I've been going to this Catholic church for 25 years. You know, you're the first person that's called me to see how I'm doing during COVID. And I decided as incoming president, I'm just going to reach out and talk to these people because our folks at our age, if you try to talk to Generation Z, what'd you say? I didn't get it. So here's the point. You have the advantage of your age bracket. So use that generational insight and to reach out to, even if you don't have a focus group yet, just develop one. You know, right. If something happens on your street, do a little door knocking, see if you can get a hold of people somehow and ask them to get together. And I don't know the exact things on how to do this, Maggie, but put together either as you could do a real live Zoom meeting is like live, and ask them to come in and ask some people to come to the actual event, like somebody's garage, obviously observing, social distancing, face masks, all things, but do something that's relevant, that's right now, that pops. People are going to find out you've made a worthy contribution. Here's the deal. When you first want to talk to somebody, never start with a joke. Especially if you're in front of a group of people, that's passé. What you want to do is you want to start with an empowerment statement. Something like, this evening you're going to learn how to better protect yourself from robbery or fire or something like that. And then you talk about the subject, but then you build a fence about why you're important, your contribution. You build a fence about why you're different than anybody else. And you can say, I don't know if anybody's talked to you in the past about this or put a meeting together, but I thought it was important. It takes you out of the role of professional and brings you down to their level like you're one of them. But what it also does, it shows that you can be a leader in a community never heard of you. And you do this 2 to 3 to 4 times. If you do it once, you wasted your money and your time and your effort. If you do it multiple times, they'll start referring to you. And when they start doing that, you become not only top of mind, but a trusted advisor.
It also works with volunteering. That's a
Yeah,
good
yeah,
example that
yeah.
made me remember what you're talking about, Lee. It made me think about what after you were talking, because volunteering is an opportunity to go out in person, right?
Right.
And essential stuff, so food banks, fire victims, donating clothing. There are loading food into the trunks of cars. People at Goodwill. Um, there's all different kinds of volunteering opportunities. And then there's online volunteering, fundraising for a local club. Do call downs. Like every time my local club, the Valley Women's Club, wants to do call downs, like, oh, good, I get to talk to 50 people today. Hi, membership is due. How are you doing? How are you hanging with COVID? Here's how you pay your membership dues. And here's how you can donate to a special campaign that we're doing right now, a special program. So so volunteering is a great way to create an instant network of people that doesn't take that much time to develop, really.
So Sam, just read the paper every day in your community, and every day out of the paper, you'll get at least one idea that could affect your neighborhood. And that gives you a way to get past the door when you say hello. That gets you past the point of saying, hi, this is Sam, about this and that, and I'm doing something about it. I'd like to come and listen to what I have to say or what these people have to say. Don't make it about yourself. The point is that once you organize something, you become, as I retired from IBM, but we have the expression becoming the good corporate citizen that we meant locally, doing something local that affects the people in a particular area. And you present yourself as someone who's making a contribution, as Maggie said, you contribution, but more importantly, you're doing it without an agenda. You suddenly realize you're a pro. You're trying to help people out with no strings attached.
Yeah, you're a community leader. I mean, you're part of the handful of people that knows what's going on in the community. Like you said, read the paper. If you're on social media, read social media every morning when you're sleepy-eyed and drinking your tea. Just read social media for 15 minutes. You'll see all kinds of opportunities to connect with other people, to volunteer, to offer information. So that I'm part of probably 20 different Facebook groups, and I post on each
Wow,
one of them
really?
at least once a week. I'll have a little 2 cents. So like, oh yeah, I know someone that can help with that. Or have you guys seen this? Sorry, my cat is sitting on my controls.
All right.
He's doing weird things with it. But yeah, so it's just about how can you share little tidbits throughout the week with that network so that they keep you in top of mind.
And Sam, you have something to share. There's no question that we all at our age have something we do.
We all can contribute. Absolutely.
And you can make a contribution, and you just keep it very clear on that point. And what happens in the Fabian strategy is you are invited to tea and you end up selling them a house. The way it happens is you're invited to tea and you make a contribution to them with no strings. You do this enough, they're the kind of person, they're going to want to see you versus the person that knocks on the door and says, here's a list of everything that's sold in the last 12 months.
Right.
You become a more relevant, this proximity relevance, right?
Yes.
You become relevant to them.
Thank you. Thank you, Lee.
I think I got back on track. My cat was sitting on my controls, making everything go nuts here. But so 3-hour habit, time block for 3 hours every day. And before noon, because you start to get the reply calls are going to be happening afternoon. Even if you must erase, then you must replace. So, don't skip a day. You don't want to have to be making it up later. And you just don't want any interruptions. It's better to have a door that you can close if you're in a home with other people so that you can keep it quiet and remind them that you need this extra time just to do your lead generation. So habits is something that'll make this all come to fruition a lot more quickly. And pretty soon, like I said, you're going to start to enjoy your hour or so of calls. And it's something that you're going to look forward to over time. And yeah, a few people might say, oh, don't call me anymore. I'm not interested. That's okay. Just mark, delete them from the database and move on, because even if you have 500 people in your database, you don't need 500 transactions. You only need 24 a year or whatever your goal is. So it's okay. There's going to be some successes and some failures, but it's a numbers game. And the more calls you make, the more positive experiences you're going to have. And more importantly, the more skills you're going to build. I had a new person join my team once, and I, gave her the task of calling some leads that we hadn't heard from in a while, that I hadn't called in a while. And she says, well, what if I stumble? What if I say something embarrassing? What if I can't remember what to say? I said, well, your first 20 calls are going to be horrible. Just write it off. Just say, I'm going to do 20 horrible calls. First, I'm going to do 20 horrible calls, and then I'm going to do 20 average calls, and then I'm going to do 20 okay calls. So take the pressure off of yourself, because only with practice does your mind learn the scripts that you need to be successful. It's okay to fail and stumble and be awkward once in a while. It all happens to all of us. So just assume that you're going to have a success rate that will improve over time, right? Things will get better over time. So I think that's it for our talk today, and hope you guys learned a lot. If you want to get a hold of me, I'm at Maggie Barr at kw.com. If you ever want any other tips or ideas or inspiration, I'd be happy to talk to you about that. And hopefully I will see you on a future call sometime. And I think we have a moderator here, Renee, that's helping us out. Renee, did you have anything else that we needed to do there? No?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
I don't see her.
All right. All right. Well, I'm going to check out, guys. We'll see you later. Have a good
All right. Nice program. Really helpful.
Thanks a lot.
Really helpful.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Maggie.
Bye.